One thing that I know might help a little bit with the technology, or I've found on some of these at least Zoom calls, is if people turn off, maybe we have some of the teams turn their cameras off until I call you up. That might help a little bit with the bandwidth, but it's just a thought. So I don't think Max is back yet, but I do see Kendrick.
He's there. I see Max, but he's just not. Hello, Max?
Yeah.
Max,
and Jack turned his camera off too, so I think they might be there.
Max, can you hear us okay?
He's definitely there.
I can see Max.
Okay. I don't think we can hear him though. At least I can't. Maybe you guys can. Can you hear him? No? Okay. So we're going to get that worked out. But in the meantime, we're going to go over to Kendrick. I think you're up and working there, Kendrick. And so I'm super grateful that you are on this panel tonight. Your story, Lori shared a little bit of your story with me, and I want to share it with everybody here tonight. And it sounds like you were born in North Dakota on the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, and hardship for you really started sources in your family. You really faced a lot of adversity, and also, you'd already lost your dad, and you took on parenting. So now here you are at 27, raising 7 children and teens. You are also the director of the Indigenized Youth, a nonprofit serving the youth of Standing Rock. And, through all of this, you've navigated crippling anxiety. I mean, it's enough to deal with what you've already been dealing with at such a young age. And I know you shared the other day when we were talking with Lori, the anxiety was paralyzing when you were in your basement. So can you just help share for everybody that can really relate to what you have gone through with this crippling anxiety? What tools have you used to get out on the other side, to be able to be on this panel tonight and speak with us about it?
Yeah, it was a tough road, growing up, but I'm here today. First and foremost, I did like a lot of breathing techniques, to kind of just kind of ground me and stuff. So a lot of disconnection from the world, from technology, from the TV, and just going out to the ground or going outside, taking off my socks and shoes, and just kind of really connect into the world and kind of bring me back to the present. And because sometimes it feels like like I was disconnected from my body, even, with anxiety when I was in my basement for 2 months straight. It was very scary at times, but yeah, these techniques definitely, help me ground myself. And last but not least, my family, my support system. I began picking their brains and started using them to help me get out of the slump that I was in with anxiety, and they did a really great job. I usually was the one taking care of them, but then at that time they took care of me and put me back where I needed to be, and that's where to take care of my family and stuff. So, but yeah.
Thank you, Kendrick. And I know that you've been working with All It Takes for about 5 years now. So would you really say that they really helped, the work that you've done with AIT, has it been really helpful in your journey?
Yes. All It Takes was an amazing program. I was part of it for 4 years, and I continue to take young youth from Standing Rock Sioux Reservation down to All It Takes, because I seen the work that it done personally. And there was a lot that I wrote down here to talk about All It Takes. There's just so much skills that we learned from there. Taking the kids off the reservation, first and foremost. There's a lot of kids that don't leave the reservation, so just that experience itself is just outstanding to them, to kind of see the world as it is. It's so big and beautiful, and going out there and going through these this program, All It Takes, and learning these skills, leadership skills. What was it? I'm kind of getting angsty here, but
okay. We all are.
Yeah, I know, right? Team building skills. There's all kinds of creativity. There's positivity. the one that I seen the most was problem solving in the activities that we do during takes and stuff, and to see some kids grow. What? Oh, yeah, problem solving. Yeah, yeah, and to see the kids grow from first day of camp and then the last day of camp, it's just outstanding and stuff. So, but yeah, definitely All It Takes showed me a lot of skills myself as being a leader in my community and stuff. So.
Thank you, Kendrick.
Yeah.
Max, I can see you now, and I think I'm hoping. Yep, now I can hear you. So, yes, yay.
Great.
So back to my question to you. Just share a little bit about, being in the film was super vulnerable, and I was saying that, can you tell us a little bit about why you did it, and then where your life is right now?
Yeah. So I let anxiety really dictate, most of my life up until just recently. But I ended up going to a therapeutic boarding school where I met a lot of people who were hurting and felt alone like me. And I think looking back now, like one of the things that I found really helpful about that was like, seeing these guys, push themselves, and that I kind of wasn't alone in this fight. And I think, the reason I wanted to do the film and participate is, I wanted to show myself being vulnerable, and I kind of hoped that, by doing this, I can help give the people who watch it, the same kind of, inspiration those guys gave me. A lot of the reason why I'm here right now is because, I want to present, I want to represent, people who are like me, and, I want to help people like me. And I think, life was hard for me, back in the day. I used to lock myself in my bathroom, push my friends away, just, even though I really liked them, I couldn't face that judgment. One day I jumped out of a car, because I just couldn't go to school. And I have anxiety today. I have a lot of anxiety talking right now, but the difference is, I'm doing it. I'm pushing through it. And I feel like because I know that it's going to help me in the long run, it's worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember driving with you to go do that scene in the ski shop, and, you were probably at the height of your anxiety, and I was saying to you, gosh, thank you for doing this, but why do you want to do this? And you were just saying, wow, if I could help one other person, it'd be worth it. It'd be worth it. I don't want anyone else to suffer like this. So thank you for your bravery and continuing that and being here with us today. So now I want to jump over to Dylan. Is Dylan on? You guys will have to tell me if you can see him, because I can't. Nope. Okay. What about Alexa? Nope. And then Jack, can you hear us? Okay, I think he's got his audio on. Jack, can you hear us okay?
Oh, there's Alexa. She's up. Alexa looks like she's trying to come in right now. She's just,
Okay, while we're waiting, we've got a lot of questions from the audience, and so I have one for you, Shailene, that I think you could really help answer. Someone was asking, how does publicity impact your mental health? Do you just ignore people that are really not being so kind? I mean, how do you handle it?
I think Cara could probably jump in on this one too, but I think for me, I learned a long time ago that it's none of my business what other people think about me. It's just not, and it's a waste of my life force. It's a waste of my energy, and it's really easy to say and a lot harder to practice. But the more that I do attempt to practice that, the happier that I am. Comments hurt. Anytime something's negative said about you hurt.
Yeah, no. So for me as well, that stuff is garbage. It's pure garbage. It's always the thing is the person who's going to put the most pressure on you is yourself. At the end of the day, your parents or whatever. But when that kind of pressure is around you, it's what's real is yourself. That's the only thing that you can control is your own actions and your own words and whatever you do. Whatever anyone else thinks, that doesn't really matter. If you just do things with a pure heart and good intentions and not wanting to hurt anyone, then you'll be good.
You just have to ignore it. You know, you really do, and it's a lot. It's just a practice. It's a discipline. It's really refining your discernment and recognizing what are the pillars in your life that bring importance, and whether it's something that a friend says to you that's hurtful or a comment that you read on Instagram that's hurtful. Pain exists. It's how do we react to that pain, and what do we choose to expose ourselves to potentially limit the amount of pain that we have in our lives when we're in positions. I think it's more difficult to say that to kids because I feel like until you're 18, you really are at the mercy of so many systemic things that society puts us at the mercy of as kids. But as an adult, especially when it comes to publicity, I just turn my head away. I don't give it my attention. And like what Cara was saying, I just do me. I kind of be the person that I am, whether I'm at the Oscars, whether I'm in my kitchen, or whether I'm with my family. You know, there's really no difference to me. The environment can change. It's all about how am I representing myself and what am I going to take as truths for me, not projected truths from other people.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do well. You do you very well.
You do too.
I've got another question that came up that I think a lot of people are gonna. Oh, Laura, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say that it's inspiring to watch you two and others be so good at doing you when I know, for me, especially Shay, with you as my daughter, like it's not always easy and there's a lot of pressure and it's really great to surround ourselves with the company and the people we look to as inspiration, who are willing to walk the walk and talk the talk. Like they're, not just saying it, but they're doing it even in adverse situations. And so I think life is adverse at times, like it's challenging. And so to find models, pillars, whether we know them personally or we, read about them or whatever it is that we want to model after, because it gives us strength. We could pull strength from that. So
thank you. Can I add one more thing? As you're saying that, Mom, it made me realize I've developed an allergy, a mental allergy to, oh God, you guys, I forgot what I was about to say and it was so good and juicy. Oh no. I've developed a mental allergy to, I'm going to remember it, but it's basically like not allowing BS into my life. I have an allergy to lies, and I have an allergy to people being in my life that don't make me a better person. And that might seem harsh for a lot of people, and I've lost a few friends because of it, but then I realize those aren't the people that I want to be surrounded by. So I do think that sometimes, really setting strong boundaries is my favorite word, actually, when it comes to mental health, is one of the things we can do for ourselves.
Well, actually, so on that note, Dr. Young was just texting me because he says that we can't see him, but he can hear us. And he wanted to say something to you, Shailene, about this. Michael,
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't see me, so that's okay. I read the article recently, the Harper's Bazaar article, Lori and Shailene, where you both shared so much about what you have endured with anxiety on it. I just wanted to add that one of the most powerful comments you made, Shailene, in that article was when the interviewer had a follow-up question on why you had decided to go into therapy. And your response was, that's something that's very personal to me, and I would rather not go into that. And that told me so much about you, in that I don't know you at all, but being able to set a boundary with an interviewer is such a great example to set for anyone who's struggling with any kind of mental health issues, just to be able to say no. But you did it in a very easy way. You shared quite a bit in that article about yourself that was very personal, but you also cordoned off things that you were not willing to share. And if there's any advice that I would want to send out to people, it's really important to set boundaries on things that are very personal to you. You don't have to share them with everybody. Doesn't matter whether you have fame or if it's in your family or neighborhood or school, especially in school. And in social media era, that is such an important message to send out to young people, that you can set a boundary. You don't have to share everything. So I appreciated that you made that comment in the article.
Thank you. That's so beautiful.
Protected a part of yourself that was important.
Thank you. While we have you, Dr. Young, I've got a couple people
my Wi-Fi in and out, but go ahead.
A couple people have asked this question about core fear. How can you help us understand a little bit more about how can we understand what our core fear is?
Well, core fear, sometimes it takes people a while in therapy to get to a core fear, but here's kind of a shortcut, all right? Think of a 7-year-old boy with his parents downstairs, and it's bedtime. And parents say, okay, Jeremiah, it's time to go to bed. And Jeremiah doesn't want to go to bed. So Jeremiah says, well, let me just please stay up and see, what are you watching? I want to watch the last episode of Big Little Lies. No, you have to go to bed, Jeremiah. Especially you can't watch that, so we need to go to bed. So Jeremiah starts acting out, running around, getting silly. Parents get increasingly upset and angry, and then they get into a big confrontation, and they don't know why he keeps acting out. Let's say this is recurrent. It happens day in and day out. Jeremiah secretly is afraid of a monster in his closet upstairs. Doesn't want to go upstairs. Parents don't know why he's acting out, but that is a core fear for him. So there are all these acting out behaviors, avoidant behaviors, diversionary behaviors that prevent him from having to go upstairs. That's an example of a core fear for a child, just being afraid of safety issues. So for people when they come into my office, go ahead. Was somebody asking?
No, I was going to say, so but basically, the whole thing of fear is about, like, what are you scared of? It's about, it's the fear of the unknown, right? It's scary to not know right?
Right. Well, for most
we
people,
don't know, but we'll be comfortable in knowing, then that's okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it can be okay for some people. For some people, if they know, it's
if you can find comfortable, if you can find comfortability in not knowing anything, because we don't know anything, really.
And especially these days, there's a lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty. We don't know how long this is going to go on, and it really scares people. Brings up a lot of fear. So let me say a very quick way to get to core fear, a way to process. If you think about an infant hasn't learned all the stuff that we've had to learn about being afraid of people and worrying about other people's feelings and all that. An infant just feels what it feels. We all start out as an infant. Sometimes I'll refer to your infant self when I talk to somebody in therapy. What's your most basic reaction right now? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling? And it has to be without judgment. So usually people have a tough time getting to what is the thing you are most upset about. And it could be that, well, I don't like that my mother thinks that I'm not smart, or my dad gets angry at me and doesn't like me. And so tracing back to what you think is the most basic thing that is affecting your behavior. Usually it's fear-based, because that's, in my work, that's the most powerful, that has the most powerful impact on behavior, is fear. You trace it back and take everything else off the table. What's your infant self experiencing? What is it you're reacting to? And then you can kind of work from there towards what it is you're trying to accomplish. And either changing your reaction to the fear or working on external circumstances that might get you to a healthier place.
You know, Michael, you made me think of something while you were talking about that, and just watching a lot of the group work, the therapeutic boarding school that my son was at and Max was at, that's one of the beautiful things that All It Takes does, is it brings people together. Sometimes I think it helps get to your core fear, right, Lori, when you're in a group and kind of speaking with others a lot about what it is that is it judgment? Is it fear of abandonment? You know, to kind of help tease those things out a little bit. Is there anything you wanted to say about that too, Lori?
Well, and so I think the more we're with other people, the more we're willing to get feedback in a safe setting, that's where we elevate each other, right? To be able to hear from others their experience of us. It doesn't mean it's true, but it's something to consider. Right. And so I love, most of what we do is group, even if it's now with technology, we're doing group work because there's so much value in it. And the other thing I wanted to say about what I experience as a way to get to it is to really stop in the emotion that we're feeling and look at it. And like for me, like when I think of anger is rarely in my belief system angry. Underneath angry, there's something else going on. Like, oh, I'm feeling disappointed, or I feel betrayed, or I feel, I just literally feel alone.
Anger is repressed sadness.
Always. Yeah, or
it's always
deep sadness. And
something
so
that makes it
we're able to be in our minds and think clearer. Like from a place of I'm thinking about this night right now, this anxiety attack, this angry thing. I just slammed a door because I'm mad because my mom said this. What's really happening? What was the core need that's missing, or what is the core fear? And so underneath all of those layers, when we start to think about it, it's like, wow, ultimately I'm afraid of being abandoned. And that shows up when I'm really needy with people. And then I feel anxious, and then I get mad when they're not giving me what I want. Right. So all of these things are like layer after layer after layer, but we live at this top layer of angry, sad. But I even think below sad is like what's missing that makes the sadness. So that's how I think of it. I can even picture layers in my brain, layers of emotion in my brain.
You know, I have there are a lot of questions here about this one particular topic, and I want to.
Karen, let's make sure we get Dylan and Alexa because they're back.
I definitely want to. We're going to get back to Dylan and Alexa, and I just want to answer this one question because I think it's come in at least 10 times, and that is about how do you tell the difference between what's normal anxiety and when do you need to get help? And you know, I just want to share something that Jenny Howe, who's the therapist in the film, talks about quite a bit in the interview that I had done with her about, you know, really, if you can recognize what your signs of anxiety are, whether it's stomach aches, you know, wanting to avoid something, maybe it's headaches, whatever those things might be. If those are increasing in 3 ways, intensity, duration, and frequency, duration, and frequency, then it's probably time to get it checked out. You know, and the other thing she says is, you know, knowing that wherever you are on that continuum, you know, anxiety is actually a good thing to have sometimes in our life, and it's necessary, it's human. But when it starts to become crippling and over to this other, you know, daily part of your life where you're becoming paralyzed, just know that there are ways to get help. There are coping tools to help you along the way. And we're actually going to make sure that if you're having crippling anxiety, that at the end of this, you know, make sure you stay till the end of the panel, and we've got places to direct you for that as well. So,
and real quick, Karen, I just want to say that parents, a lot of times, I think it's really important for parents to get the support and not think I need to send my kid for support. Because if you're noticing the intensity growing and there's not a solution happening in the family, often parenting, there's things we can do that will instantly like, oh, wow, that's what's happening with my kid. And now that I know that's happening, oh, I now have some tools and I'm equipped to support them. And not save them, but support them. So I wanted to say that. And then let's get on with these 2 beautiful people who've been waiting so patiently.
Lori, that's such an important point. And one reason that I made sure that I put that in the film, because as a parent myself and learning about my own anxiety and learning how much I wasn't helping my son be capable, and then having compassion for myself around that was really important. It's not that we as parents, right, need to beat ourselves, to take care and have compassion for ourselves and help our own anxiety, and then we're modeling it for our kids. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's like one of the first things now when people say, what can I do? You know, if my child's really suffering, I'm like, well, you might want to look at your own anxiety. You know, that it's just such an important point you made, Lori. Thank you. So, Alexa, I can see you, and I'm hoping that I can hear you. Oh, yay. All right, great. So I know you haven't been with AIT that long, but you've been as a high school student. I would love to hear what it is has helped you get through this time. You know, what are some skills that you've learned that maybe others out there can really pick up on and benefit from?
Yeah, so I came to All It Takes about 6 months ago. I was a mentor for the November Legacy, and when I came, I had never been to camp as a middle schooler before, and so it's very overwhelming being there and not knowing or understanding the flow of things. So especially after my first day where I had a little mishap with one of my campers, I was like, I'm not cut out for this. I can't, leadership isn't for me. I can't do this. This whole camp is just wasted. I suck. But throughout the camp, as I watched my campers grow, I realized, wait a minute, yeah, I can freaking do this. I just sent my campers throughout this and through this whole journey, and I learned so much about myself and about them because of it. And at the end, I was like, yeah, I can do this. So I've definitely learned to have confidence in myself, not just as a leader, but throughout my everyday life. And being with All It Takes and during this pandemic, I've definitely used those skills in my everyday life to not doubt myself like I used to all the time.
Thank you. Soaking in every word that you just said to remind myself to use those skills. So we have Dylan and Jack. I really want to hear from them too, and I think I can see them both. At least we'll be able to hear them both if we can't see them. So, Dylan, let's start with you, because I know that you've been, just like all of us, sheltering in place and at home. It sounds like it's been a little bit of a challenge with your family. So we want to hear a little bit about what you're doing to cope with that anxiety, and what is it that you have learned about yourself?
Being under one household with 4 people is definitely stressful. Being that multiple people in my family suffer with anxiety, a lot of us are always on edge. A lot of us have very short fuses with one another. So right as one person says one thing, it can set somebody else over. So I think we've all just been really working on knowing that if somebody says something and something slips that they don't mean to say, that it's not necessarily per own anxiety and they're not coping with it well. I've just learned that I need to be a lot more compassionate and a lot more patient with everybody right now, because everybody's anxious. Life threw us a curveball, and we're all having to adapt and adjust to what's going on in our own lives right now. I've just learned about myself definitely that I just need to focus on not allowing what other people say to affect me and the way I carry myself, and just really just keep my cool.
Thank you. I love it. Should all just keep our cool. I'm going to say that when I wake up in the morning. And now we've got Jack. You really. I know we can't see you, but we are going to be able to hear you, I think. You are like so many other graduates right now, 2020 graduates who are not going to be participating in those typical ceremonies and things that you get to do in your senior year. And, tell us a little bit about what's been your biggest breakdown through this whole thing. How do you get out of it? Can you hear us okay, Jack?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Karen's a little in and out, but I think I can get the gist of it.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
You can? Okay. So I'm just going to start talking. If you can't hear me, it's going to be really awkward, but I'm just going to keep going. Okay. So what it sounded like you were saying is, what was my biggest breakdown being a senior and not really getting to graduate or have a senior year, I guess you would say. Is that on point?
Yep. Yes.
Yes, Jack. Yep. Oh, he was there. We were so close.
We were just there. Okay, well, what he has to share is super important, so we're going to come back. Jack, we can't hear you. So we're going to jump into our next segment here, but we're going to come back to you because you're really important. We want to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to use this moment to just let people know as we're getting close to 7 o'clock, and we really want to honor those of you that have stayed with us for almost 2 hours and bared with us during our technical difficulties. We're just going to wrap it up here pretty soon, and that go to allittakes.org to get some information if you want to be part of some webinars and learn more about what they're doing. But actually, I'm going to take this moment where we'll see if we can get Jack back to say that if you found this evening valuable, or you think there's somebody in your life who might find what we're talking about valuable or might benefit from learning about some of these tools and better dealing and hope, with their anxiety, I really, really, really encourage you to do one of two things. One is to go to All It Takes or All It Takes online to learn about these webinars that Lori's doing. But also, I'm just going to invite you to donate. I mean, this is a nonprofit organization, and every little bit helps them help others that really.org. So I just really want to point those things out. In fact, if you look right now, it looks like Cole brought up our little banner down there with all the information that it needs for next steps. And so, Jack, did we have you back by chance before I toss to Lori? Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I don't know.
How about this, Lori? You know a little bit about what Jack does. Do you want to share anything there so that his story gets to be heard a little?
Yeah, so waiting for him. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Karen. I have a text here that somebody's asking a question that I think is really relevant, and it's not coming through the questions. So it's interesting that there's a perception from the film that Max, and so the question would be for him, and I don't see him here, was pushed into going into the exposure therapy. And what I want to say is that was all done through a therapeutic setting that he'd been involved in, meant to do that exposure therapy. The thing about All It Takes and what we believe and what happens in exposure therapy, anything that's ever uncomfortable, we're never going to change something that is. Like very often we don't, if we're dealing in something that is a challenge for us, small baby steps are how we make the difference. And, I think that our kids and Dylan, we can see you could nod yes or no, totally up to you, would know like our philosophy is we go one, because if we don't take one step further than we think we can, we never do anything new. We don't step into recovery or health. If we're unhealthy mentally, physically, if we don't do something different, change a diet, if we have a diabetic issue or we don't it's important to do one step further. So I really want to address this with this viewer that Max was full in alignment and he was doing something that was challenging for him, but that he'd agreed to do. And it came after many, many, many small, tiny little baby exposures. And the film addresses like his kind of culmination one before being done with the program and coming home. So I thought that was actually a great question. And Max, I see you to speak to this. That would be great. But right now, Jack, I don't know if we have you back.
How about Max? Max, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Do you want to say something?
I think, yeah. So I wasn't necessarily, pushed into doing that. The whole thing about, exposure therapy is that, you need to be putting in the work. You want to, you have to desire. There's got to be a want to get better. And I think, by doing that into these situations and to be able to sit there in the discomfort and, to ride it out until, when you do something that's maybe less uncomfortable, you're able to do it, with ease. I think that's all I had to say.
And thank you, Max. And I think of Exposure 15 when I was a school counselor, wouldn't order their own food in a restaurant. Their anxiety was so significant, they would tell a parent and whisper in their ear, and the parent would order the food in a restaurant. And those are the kinds of things that are small little things like we can do. Like that's one step further. You can tell the person what you want, right? Or you can whisper it really quiet, or you could write it on a piece of paper, but that we're not saving them from actually ordering for themselves, but we're helping them get to a point where it's not so challenging any longer. And Karen and Max, I'm speaking from your experience, but it's the alignment with what we're teaching. And I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, in fact,
and then Karen, I stopped to do that, address that, and then I wanted just to address what you were saying, and thank you for speaking so highly of All It Takes and the difference that we're making, and us shifting, like all of us have shifted to our caregivers are out in, doing really hard stuff, and they're out, and then they come home and we're under one roof, and people are nervous and anxious right now. So we have found a way to bring all of these programs that we're doing outside with people in person onto an online platform. And All It Takes online, we have webinars that aren't so technically challenged as this because they're not as, we don't have 1,000 people on them. But we do interactive work, and a lot of what we're talking about tonight we will follow up with in webinars starting next week. So thank you for saying that. We're here for you, and this is not an easy time, but it doesn't have to be a devastating time, right? Like how our mood doesn't have to be devastated. Circumstances could be devastating, but how we address it can be much easier than many of us are handling it.
Thank you. I think we have so many questions here that I think, we're just about to wrap it up, and we were going to let everybody say a word or two that they wanted to leave the audience with.
Skip that. We don't have everybody here. Maybe ask Shailene if you want to end with a comment that you have, if you would like to do that.
Yeah, all I'd like to say is sorry if we didn't get to your questions, because I know a lot of you, the whole point of joining this whole thing was to engage in a Q&A and be able to kind of hear your voices and hear what we could offer back in response to that. B, thank you for being here and for being vulnerable within your own homes and your own hearts to join something that has to do with anxiety. Oh, it's 8 o'clock a.m. and everybody's screaming for the healthcare workers. Anyway, the only thing I can say is you're not alone. And I think that loneliness is actually the number one killer on this planet. I think us feeling like we are not worthy of companionship or feeling like we're not understood is one of the scariest and hardest experiences to have as human beings. So you're not alone. We're all here. Even if we never meet, we probably won't meet. But if we do meet, that's cool too. But just know that there's a lot of us who are, experiencing the same thing. And that, aloha, thank you so much for being here and joining.
Thank you, Shailene. So if any of your friends want to see this, if anybody wants to see this, I've seen questions coming in. The program's going to be available up on the All It Takes website for $9.99, so you'll be able to check it out. You can also bring the program to your school, to your corporation, just again, allittakes.org to find out about that. And we're going to show a video right now. And for those of you that need to go, feel free to go after the video. For those of you who can stick around, we are going to try to get to some more questions for those of us that can stay on the panel. So we'll be coming back up after the 4-minute video. Thank you.
And then we'll do a hard stop at 7:20, my time, Pacific time, 7:20. Enjoy this video, you guys.